Hi, my name is Cutter Cannon. I am a sophomore right now at the University of Georgia, and that's it.
All right. So Cutter, tell me what were some of the most difficult parts of transitioning to life after high school?
Um, I would say the most difficult is just kind of a practical thing is handling like the freedom that you like inherit. So like obviously no one's over your shoulder telling you what to do. I mean, the time is all yours, and I mean you get to choose what you want to do with it. So and honestly, like the first month or so, I kind of found it a little bit difficult because I mean, I spent a lot of time at the dining halls, hanging out with friends. I would go to the gym a lot and play basketball and stuff. And I kind of fell behind in a couple of classes. So, yeah, just it's not as much of a faith thing, but just a practical thing. Like being able to handle the freedom that you get is kind of a big thing.
Yeah. And it's not just there's so many different parts of the transition that are difficult, not just faith wise, but in terms of your faith and spiritually, what was difficult for you?
Um, so I would say it really wasn't that difficult for me to transition because I I was able to go to church quickly, and I found a church, and I would go weekly. But that I think is largely due to the fact that I did go to church, big church, a lot in high school. Like junior, senior year, I would go almost every weekend, and I like made it a priority because of what y'all implemented in me in United and in senior year that I needed to go to big church. So I did that. And I felt like that really helped because, I mean, most of the time, like this year, this sophomore year, I haven't gone to church with a single person. I go by myself every week. So, and it's not like an issue at all. Like, I love it. I love my church and everything, and I love going still, even without a friend to go with. So, I'd say going to big church, doing that thing in high school helped me a lot to make it not as stressful or difficult of a situation.
Yeah. So what were a couple of things that you didn't expect to happen when you got to college? Um, or maybe things that surprised you or you wish you had known ahead of time that you could share with our seniors this year?
Yeah, so I would say I didn't really expect for there to be so many people like in the exact same situation that I'm in, that I was in freshman year and kind of still am. Like I went to a group called Freshly my freshman year, which is basically United for Freshmen, where we have uh, like small groups and we have a worship session and a message. And I mean, it was kind of shocking to see how many people actually would go to this event and would go at a weekly basis. Like there are a good amount of people that were also trying to work on their faith and grow in a relationship with God. So that was just very encouraging for me. Even though you are gonna be alone in your faith, and you're gonna be having to go to church alone a couple of times, and it's gonna be hard like that. It is very encouraging to see the amount of people that are still trying to lean into the Lord.
Yeah. And I think that's a very good point that no matter where you go, whether you stay at home, go somewhere else, you don't go to college at all, you go straight into work, whatever, there's always people that are following Jesus. And the important thing for us is to be looking for the right community, looking for new people and getting involved. Um, because we aren't supposed to do it alone and you don't have to do it alone. And in 99% of situations, there's people to help you in your journey of following after Jesus. And not everybody's just um, in college to party and just do whatever. So, uh, the last thing I want to ask you is what do you think you could have done during your senior year to make your transition more smooth? Or what did you do during senior year besides going to big church that helped you with your transition?
Um, I would say one thing I didn't do was really focus on growing with God and rejuvenating my spirit, like during the times of devotionals, prayer, quiet time, worship, listening to a message. Like In high school, I feel like I often would kind of rely on Epworth and rely on Jamaica to kind of rejuvenate my spirit. And I know it's not a good thing, but that's kind of what I did. In college, you don't have those things. You don't have an Epworth where you're with 400 students and you're praising the Lord and it's the Holy Spirit's in us all. Like you don't have that kind of situation. So you need to really be adamant about when you're spending time with God that like you really are trying to make an effort to grow in those times and you're not just checking it off the list like, oh, I did that today, but like really making a strong effort to grow with him.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cutter. Appreciate your time sharing with our
Yep.
seniors.
Heck yeah, go seniors.
All right. Well, I want to introduce to you a former student who just graduated last year and have her share a little bit of her story. So go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kelly Shearer. I'm a freshman at the University of Florida, and I just started my first semester.
All right, Kelly, what were some of the most difficult parts of transitioning to life after high school, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, relationally, whatever? What were some of the most difficult parts so far?
So for me, the most difficult part has definitely been like leaving my friends behind. Like I've pretty much left like all my closest best friends at home and like my family at home. So it kind of feels like I've left like my support system at home, like people holding me accountable and stuff, which has been difficult. Um, Also just like getting into a new routine, like figuring everything out. Everything just seems kind of busy, and it's like hard to like go from being at home every day like with your family to like coming and living by yourself and not having like anyone like to talk to except for like your roommate, and like no one's telling you what to do really. And it just kind of feels lonely sometimes, like because I've left all my friends at home, like you can call them, but like it's just not the same.
Hmm. And what about spiritually? What has been difficult for the transition?
It's been difficult, like getting my routine like set out because I like need to find time to like where I want to prioritize doing devos and stuff because my busy day is just like kind of overwhelming for me. Like when I go to bed, it's like I just need to like prioritize time, need to figure out like the best time of day to do my devos and stuff and spend time with God.
Hmm. What are one or two things that you didn't expect to happen in the transition to college or the transition to life after high school that have happened?
I didn't expect it to be so overwhelming. Um, I've kind of just like had so much going on, but like nothing going on at the same time. But like either way, like my mind is just like all over the place all the time, like trying to figure out my schedule, trying to make time for God. And like there's honestly been some days where I just haven't thought about God at all. Like I'll go to bed at night and like not even pray, and like I'll wake up the next morning and like think like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think about God yesterday. I didn't even pray before I like went to bed. Like even if I don't pray throughout the day, like I'm always sure like to pray before bed. Like that's like the last thing on my mind. Like before I go to bed, like just to pray and like thank God for my day and everything. And like there's just been days where I like it's totally like slipped my mind just because I've been so like overwhelmed with the change.
Hmm.
So that's been really hard, like having to figure out like prioritizing time for God and stuff.
Did you did you expect it being hard to meet people, or did you expect that you would be lonely?
I didn't expect it to be hard to meet people. I didn't have a very good time in high school like all the time, so I kind of expected that college was gonna be great, and it hasn't been the best. It's been really hard to meet people, like partially because of COVID, but also just because like I haven't had to make friends since like sixth grade, honestly, and like it's like having to start fresh, like meeting a whole new group of people. Like it's like definitely very hard and definitely very lonely, which I was not expecting.
Hmm. And then last thing is, what do you think you could have done differently in senior year to help you prepare for the transition that you're going through now?
For me during senior year, I try to stay very involved in everything. Like I stayed on top of my devotions, knowing that I was going to college until quarantine happened. And like the new routine of like not going to church, like definitely made me feel more distant from God, and like my schedule was different, so I kind of like fell off my routine of doing my devos, which definitely has hurt me like while coming here because I like didn't have a like strong foundation and routine of that.
Yeah.
So like I definitely recommend making sure you have a very strong foundation in your faith before you leave for college, making sure you're spending time daily with God. Just something like I regret like not prioritizing more.
Uh-huh.
And then also researching churches before you leave, like see which ones you like. You can watch them online now. That's something like I didn't really do. Like I got lucky and found a good church that I like right away, but like that may not happen for some of you. And like
Yeah.
I recommend like asking around and like seeing what will work best for you. And then also like to meet people, like there's Facebook pages where you can like find people and like connect with them on there before you go to school. And I also think that's really helpful, something that I didn't take advantage of before going.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Kelly, and we love you, and we know it's going to be great.
Thanks.